The boy in the Man City shirt cried. The final wasn't even over yet, but he knew the miracle wouldn't come. Unlike the Manchester United boy weeks earlier, who cried, then laughed as his team completed a stunning comeback against Lyon, this one left the stands with teary eyes and a heavy heart. That, perhaps, is the biggest difference when United fall behind. People still believe something might happen. Pep Guardiola's side played as if it were matchday 6 of the Premier League, not an FA Cup final. And this time, there was no comeback to soothe the child's tears. If you find this story compelling, emotional or worthwhile, don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button, there's more to come. Statistically, City controlled everything. They had 78.3% possession, took 23 shots, and created 16 chances. But all those numbers only reflected a dominance without meaning. After 90 minutes plus 10 of stoppage time, the scoreline still read, Crystal Palace 1, Manchester City 0. In this final, the underdog played as if fate was already written in their favour, while the bigger team was choked by its own system. Dean Henderson, perhaps in the most emotional match of his career, denied every effort from the likes of Holland, Doku and Marmoush. A penalty save. A series of cinematic, flying stops. A moment when VAR spared him a red card. It was the kind of game where the more City attacked, the more desperate they looked. In the stands, that little boy's tears mirrored something far bigger than football, the collapse of expectation. When your team has everything, money, squad depth, global fame, the best manager in the world, you expect victory as a given. But football doesn't work that way. When emotion is replaced by calculation, when football is programmed purely for winning rather than stirring hearts, defeat feels cold and numb. In those final minutes, Pep Guardiola stood still. City's players ran, but no one screamed. No one erupted. De Bruyne was silent. Foden muted. Holland could only look up to the sky. That child cried, not because his team lost, but because he knew there was no hope left to cling to. That's the difference with Manchester United, you might cry, but you always get back up. With City, the tears simply mark the end. No climax. No miracle, just a blank page closing to the sound of an opponent's celebration. Still tears. Still the stands. But at Old Trafford a few weeks ago, things played out so differently. The Europa League quarter-final between United and Lyon looked all but over when the score hit 2-2, then 4-2 to Lyon. The cameras caught a young United fan crying. A moment of heartbreak, but also the beginning of something magical. United turned it around and won 5-4. It wasn't a tactical masterclass or a match controlled from start to finish. It was pure instinct, where raw emotion overpowered any logic. Harry Maguire scored the decisive goal. United's players celebrated like they had escaped the abyss. In the stands, the boy who once cried now beamed with joy, his eyes still wet with tears, but glistening. You can't script moments like that. They only happen to teams that know how to touch the hearts of their fans. That's Manchester United, a team that can frustrate you all season, yet when backed into a corner, somehow finds a way to rise again, as if an unseen hand lifts them from the edge. This is a club that can make you want to give up. But in 10 minutes, they'll pull you back with the most primal feeling in football, hope. United don't have a perfect squad like City. Their midfield is patched up. Their defense held together with tape. But they have something City lack, unpredictability that keeps you glued to every second. And it's that chaos that can turn a child's tears into laughter in just a few minutes. What's remarkable is that this isn't new. United have done this time and again. Comebacks aren't just statistics, they're in the DNA. And if you're a United fan, you know this. If there's still time, anything is possible. That's why, when the United boy cried, people watched on with a quiet confidence, he'll be smiling soon. But when the City boy cried at Wembley, everyone knew that was the end. Because Manchester United thrive on emotion and City on structure. And when the system breaks, no miracle follows. They've conquered England, subdued Europe, and made the world marvel at their clinical dominance. But in the 2025 FA Cup final, none of that mattered. Crystal Palace won 1-0. City lost. And silence followed. Not for lack of chances, but because no goal ever came. On the pitch, as tactical options ran dry, no one roared, no one dragged a teammate up. No madness. Just the limp flicker of a machine out of charge. Holland went missing again, a sad stat. He's yet to score in any semi-final or final for City across 11 matches. Kevin De Bruyne, the heartbeat of this team, played his last FA Cup game, but couldn't create a parting moment. Instead, he lowered his head and stared into the distance. Foden stayed silent. Bernardo Silva faded. Pep's arms dropped after one last wonder save from Dean Henderson. Even VAR added to the cruelty. A handball outside the box by Henderson should have brought a straight red. It didn't. If United are the team that constantly pulls you from your seat with unexpected drama, City make you let go. They control too much, so perfectly that even hope gets smothered. And when they lose, they do so like a malfunctioning system, not like a team falling with heart. The 2024-25 season has left a rare scar on the face of a seemingly invincible empire. Out of the Champions League in the playoffs. Defeated in the FA Cup final. Overtaken domestically by Arsenal and Liverpool. No trophies. On the day they said farewell to Kevin De Bruyne, a day that should have been celebratory, they stood as runners-up, while the opposition lifted the silverware before their eyes. Some matches fade quickly in memory. But the feeling stays. The 2025 FA Cup final might just be a footnote in City's illustrious history. But for Crystal Palace, it is a shining chapter. And for the boy who cried in the stands, it's a memory that will never fade, not because of the loss, but because nothing happened to make hope worth it. This defeat wasn't just a result. It was the end of a season in which City lost themselves. No longer the ruthless force of years past. No longer the team whose every press punished opponents with goals. No longer the team that turned the final 10 minutes into a stage for stars to seal the script. They still passed beautifully. Still dominated possession. Still posted glorious stats. But they lacked spark. Lacked belief. And, most of all, lacked fire. Meanwhile, Crystal Palace, a team with a modest budget and no player among the top 10 most valuable, reminded the world why football still needs teams like them. Eberechi Eze, Dean Henderson. Marc Guehi, not global superstars, but they played like it was the final match of their lives. They defended as if in a fortress with no way out. And when he scored, it embodied everything City lacked: surprise, emotion, and the courage to define destiny. Look at Dean Henderson lifting the trophy, crying in memory of his late father. Look at Joel Ward finally claiming a title after over a decade with Palace. Look at Marc Guehi, one eye swollen shut, still grinning with his medal. And maybe, just maybe, that boy in the City shirt understood something too: being the strongest doesn't guarantee victory. Having more shots, more possession doesn't mean magic will follow. Sometimes, to win, you need more than tactics. You need belief. You need heart. You need moments that can't be programmed. Palace just rewrote history in the purest way, with raw emotion. A title that needs no tactical breakdown. Just one sentence. We believed. And that's why football is still football. Miracles can happen anywhere, except where perfection leaves no room for faith.